Wrap me in a bolt of lightning, send me on my way still smiling. Maybe that's the way I should go, straight into the mouth of the unknown. I left the spare key on the table, I never really thought I'd be able to say I merely visit on the weekends. I lost my whole life and a different. I've said it so many times.
Our draft now, and I will admit I screwed up earlier. It's not the most important matchups for divisional round weekend. It's the most important non-quarterbacks. So, Chris, you've got the trivia question, and we'll see if I get the first pick.
Okay, here we go. So, 9 of the last 12 participants in the Super Bowl have been number 1 seeds. All right? 9 of the last 12 have been number 1 seeds. There were 3 teams that weren't. They were all number 2 seeds. Can you name 2 of the 3 2 seeds that have made it to the Super Bowl over the last 6 years? You can do this. Come on.
3 2 seeds have made it to the Super Bowl over the last how many years?
6 years. The last 12 participants, yes.
Okay. It would have been better if I'd have been listening to the question from the start.
9 of the last 12 participants in the Super Bowl have been number 1 seeds, right?
Okay.
The other 3 were 2 seeds.
I would be horrible on Jeopardy. I was watching that last night. When the
stop
clock is
stalling.
running,
All right, just sound the wrong horn.
Go ahead. Just make the horn
wrong.
and tell me who they are.
Well,
make the horn and tell me who they are.
Last year, both teams were number 2 seeds, right? The Rams and the Patriots. So those were 2 right there. And then the Falcons in 2016 were a 2 seed who ended up hosting Green Bay.
Don't act like you know.
Oh,
you have
I
it in
knew.
front of you.
I knew.
You didn't.
I was all over it.
All right. Yeah, I wasn't. Here's the problem. I wasn't listening to you.
Shocker.
And that screwed me up from the get-go. I thought you were talking about 9 of the last 12 years, not 9 of the last 12 participants.
Yeah, well,
That's what
listen
got me
next
off
time.
track.
Stop texting MDS or Darren Gann or somebody and just do the damn show and listen to me, okay?
Make the pick. You get Derrick Henry. Go.
Nope, I'm not going to go with Derrick Henry. I'm going to go somebody from that team, though. I'm going to go with Arthur Smith, all right? The offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans. This is why. First off, hey, Tennessee Titans, it's a good defense. I don't think they're going to stop Baltimore on the offensive side of the ball. So Tennessee, you're going to have to score more than 14 points on the offensive side of the ball to win this game this week. And that's where I look at Arthur Smith. And I go, Arthur Smith, I don't think Derrick Henry's going to be able to run roughshod all over the Baltimore Ravens defense like he did against the New England Patriots last week. Baltimore's got a lot of big run stoppers. They're very good at playing run defense in general. And where I go to Arthur Smith is it's on him to find some more creative ways in the passing game if they want any chance to win this game in Baltimore. Baltimore's secondary is really good. It's almost every bit as good as New England's that we saw last week. And Mike, when I watched that film, like the New England DBs were running the routes for the Tennessee Titans wide receivers. Like they knew the coach had told them when they line up in this formation, they're going to run these routes, and they were running the routes for the Tennessee Titan wide receivers. They better change some things up, find some more creative ways to get the ball to these guys this week because they're not going to be able to depend on Derrick Henry running for 180-something yards against this Ravens defense. Would be shocked. They're going to have to do and be a little more effective in the pass game.
See, now I feel bad taking Derrick Henry because I think that's the more sensible selection because Derrick Henry is the most important non-quarterback because if he does run roughshod over the Ravens defense, it does make all the difference in the world. It doesn't matter what Ryan Tannehill does. It doesn't matter what Arthur Smith does. It doesn't matter what anybody does if Derrick Henry can get it done. So I'm going to say you picked the wrong guy, and I'm going to take Derrick Henry instead.
I picked the exact right guy. They barely won the game last week against a lesser team, and he ran all over them. So that was my point exactly.
He needs to do it again.
Right.
He needs to do it again. He needs to do more. He needs to be the guy that he was last week for the Titans to have a chance because what he can do, and if the Ravens are smart or the Titans are smart, and this is where I'm gonna come dangerously close to agreeing with you. The broader strategy is bleed the clock and shorten the game and give the Ravens fewer opportunities so they feel a greater sense of urgency when they are on the field.
Yeah, there's some of that.
Maybe you do get a lucky sucker punch you catch them with early on, and it makes them think this may not be our day, but keep their offense off the field.
Yeah.
But I think Derrick Henry's ability to run like he did on Saturday night against the Patriots is going to be a big part of that. So I am going with Derrick Henry.
No, that's all right. That's all good. That's a good pick. It just wasn't as good as mine. So round 1 to me. Here we go to round 2. I'm going to Will Fuller. I just, I feel like we talk about him every week the last 6 or 7 weeks, but I mean, I got to talk about him again. Again, the Texans aren't going to come out with a victory if their offense plays the way it did last week against the Buffalo Bills. That's not going to happen. This is a different squad. They're in Kansas City. I think we can sit here and go, if you give the opportunities to Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, they're going to come away with more 16 points than what Buffalo did last week. I mean, if the Texans play the way they did in the first 3 quarters this week against Kansas City, then they might be down 28-7 going into the fourth quarter, and that might just be night-night. They need Will Fuller to be big time on the offensive side of the ball. Spagnuolo, as you and I have talked about a lot, has really done a great job with this Kansas City defense. They, like a Bill Belichick, will take away your number 1 option. I would think there's going to be times where they're going to double DeAndre Hopkins on big plays and say, beat us with somebody else. And it's going to come down to Will Fuller. Will Fuller, he doesn't even necessarily just have to have a big day. He just got to be out there, be close to 100%, and be able to really run. His just presence on the field will open things up for the Texans offense and Kenny Stills and Fells and DeAndre Hopkins. So I think he's very important if the Texans want to pull off some sort of upset in Kansas City this week.
Good call by you. He was on my list. I don't know that I would have taken him this early, but you're right. He has to play, and he has to be available to spread out the Kansas City Chiefs defense and make it easier for DeAndre Hopkins and Kenny Stills to get things done. And maybe Will Fuller pops a big gain and makes the difference at a key moment, and maybe the Texans have a better chance to win. I'm going to go with Aaron Jones, the Packers running back. And when we were watching the Packers and the Lions, Week 17, there was a point in the first half where Aaron Jones went down awkwardly. It looked like he'd messed up his arm. Remember that, Chris?
Yeah.
And our reaction was, they're done if Aaron Jones is injured. They've got no chance to do anything in the postseason. And even though it's all about, Aaron Rodgers and his legacy and trying to get a second Super Bowl, that's fine. Aaron Jones has been a key member of that team this year. Yep. Aaron Rodgers has supported Jones for MVP consideration. They need a big day from Jones to allow the run game to complement the pass game and the Packers to ultimately outscore the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was on my list too. Yeah, and I thought about just taking him as well. I was almost split between taking him or Devontae Adams because, I mean, Mike, all your points are very real. I just think of Seattle, old school Pete Carroll. Like, he's one of those coaches that's like, all right, we're going to take away the run. He still kind of has that old school mentality about him, right? To where I think they're going to focus a lot on Aaron Jones. And, I almost picked Devontae Adams just to go, I think this could be a game Rodgers just goes, hey, it's one-on-one. Me and him are better than that guy covering him. And we're just going to work it to death. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out. I think, I don't know what I want to do here. I'm going to go with the 2 defense ends in Minnesota. Can I pick the duo or do you have to pick one? I'm going to pick the duo. Screw Mike Florio, okay? The hell with him. I'm going to Danielle Hunter.
I didn't even answer the question. It's Danielle.
It felt good to say screw you.
You can't pick the duo if you can't get Danielle right. I've told you
Hunter and Everson Griffin.
Times. You keep wanting to call him Daniel. It's Danielle.
Danielle. I'm sorry. My wife is Danielle, and I struggle with the English language, and it's not personal, okay? I'm sorry about that, Danielle. I really am. Danielle Hunter.
Just don't call your wife Danielle.
Hey,
yeah, she'll get the wrong
problems.
idea.
Right. But I do think Hunter and Everson Griffin are going to play a huge part of this game. One, they got to be phenomenal against the run. The 49ers are phenomenal about running the ball on the edges of defenses, right where the defensive ends are. So they'll be important in stopping that aspect. They'll be important in stopping the speed sweeps and the reverses that the 49ers run. Will they be patient or disciplined on the backside? And the biggest thing, Mike, as we always talk about when you're playing a really good offense, man, when you can just get to the quarterback with your front 4 and keep 7 guys back in coverage. And Mike Zimmer, I'm sure he wants that this week with Shanahan and all the pre-snap movement and play action passes and people going $1 million different ways. He wants to use that combination of 7 and coverage as effectively as possible, and that's why it'll be very important for number 97 and 99 to have huge days and see if they can win the battle between them and McGlinchey and Joe Staley.
And the Vikings had some wrinkles defensively for the Saints last week.
Yes,
and I think Mike Zimmer has some other things up his sleeve for this week against the 49ers. All right, I was thinking about going George Kittle because I think that his presence will help make it easier for Jimmy Garoppolo in his first playoff game. And Kittle's got that vibe to him. He's got that pro wrestler thing. He's a great character, and I feel like this is the kind of stage that he is destined to show up on in a big way. So I guess he's not as important because I assume he's going to have a big game, right? It's not as uncertain. It is more uncertain when it comes to Jadeveon Clowney, the master of the F up the play, the guy who had that huge game against the 49ers and came back and had a pretty good game against the Eagles in the wild card round.
Yes, he did.
The controversial hit on Carson Wentz. The Green Bay Packers had better know where Jadeveon Clowney is anytime he's on the field because he won't just F up the play, he may F up your quarterback as well. And the Packers will not survive if for the second straight week the Seahawks send the starting quarterback to the sidelines because this time it won't be Josh McCown, it'll be Tim Boyle taking over for Aaron Rodgers, which means at that point you should just turn your TV to something else because we know what's going to happen if Tim Boyle plays quarterback for the Packers.
Pretty much. You're right. I mean, and it's a good I wanted to pick Jadeveon Clowney. The only reason I didn't do it is because you took Aaron Jones, and I figured I'd change up the game a little bit. But I'm with you. I'm totally with you. And you're right. I mean, that game became an inevitable, even though like Philadelphia hung around. I mean, at no point did I really think Josh McCown was going to deliver there without playing all year in that moment against Seattle. I mean, I just didn't. So that would be a huge bump. But you're right, man. Jadeveon Clowney, you just know when he's on the field, it's a different defense when he's just somewhat close to 100%. The stats just don't say it all with Clowney. He ruins plays, and his presence out there on the field and physicality and size and everything really helps out that Seattle Seahawks defense.